It's time for another episode of MoState Update, the official podcast of Missouri State Athletics. Here are your hosts, Corey Riggs, and the voice of the Bears, Art Haynes.
Welcome back to edition 4 of MoState Update. We're going to take you in the next few minutes through Missouri State sports. A lot going on, and most of it good. Women's soccer wins the Missouri Valley Conference regular season and postseason championships, and they play Friday at Iowa in the first round of the NCAA tournament. The last time these teams played was in 2005. It was a 1-1 tie. We'll have Coach Kirk Nelson on the show a little bit later on. Women's soccer also swept all the specialty awards, including Coaching Staff of the Year in the Valley.
Yeah, it's been an incredible season for Coach Nelson and the Missouri State women's soccer team. They've got 13 wins on the season. The Hawkeyes have 13 wins. This has been an incredible run, but definitely not an improbable one. When you see the work that this coaching staff and this team has put in over the last couple of years, it was all about getting back to the NCAA tournament this season, and this is a team that is able to accomplish their goal, and we'll see how far they could get, whether they can get to the round of 32 or whether they can make it all the way to the College Cup out in Cary, North Carolina. The semifinals of the national tournament will be on December 6th, with the finale being on December 9th.
Bears have now won 9 in a row, which is among the longest active winning streaks in the country. In fact, it is the longest. They defeated Drake 4-0 in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship game, a decisive victory. The NCAA tournament consists of 30 automatic qualifiers, of which Missouri State is one, and 34 at large. And as Corey said, the semifinals and finals of the College Cup in Cary, North Carolina, December 6th and 9th.
And of course, Coach Nelson's team had the benefit of being the number 1 seed. They got to host the Valley semifinals and finals. Turnaround now this week to Coach Seabolt and the men's soccer team, and they are the regular season champs in the Missouri Valley Conference in their final season as a member of the MVC before they move to the American Athletic Conference next year, and they get ready to host the Missouri Valley Conference men's soccer tournament with that AQ on the line as well.
Yeah, the Bears' win over Drake last week on the road gave them the top spot in the regular season. That is Missouri State's 12th regular season Valley championship, tying Creighton for the most in Valley history. They've now won 5 of the last 6 conference regular season titles. Semifinals begin with number 2 seed Drake taking on 3 seed Bowling Green on Wednesday.
That's at 3 o'clock.
Then that night at 6, the champs, the Bears, will have a home matchup against 5th seed Evansville Purple Aces.
And talk about success. Obviously, everybody knows how good the Missouri State men's program has been over the last few years, how they have made it to the NCAA tournament what seems to be year after year after year. And this year, it's done on the back of 7 Missouri State men's soccer players that were all named to the All-Missouri Valley Conference first or second team this year. Their senior, Jesus Barea, was named the MVC Player of the Year for the second time in his career.
Yep.
He's also the MVC Forward of the Year, which that happens quite a bit. Sophomore Tyler Catton was named the MVC Co-Midfielder of the Year. And Barea and Catton and redshirt junior midfielder Alex Matthews were all MVC first-teamers. 3 more Bears, James Jennings, Fumiya Shiraishi from Tokyo, and senior goalkeeper Will Lowry were all MVC second-teamers. They even had a member of the team make the all-freshman team. When you've got 7 guys getting a postseason awards from the league, odds are you're probably one of the top 2 teams in the conference.
So that'll be a highlight on campus this week, hosting the men's soccer Missouri Valley Conference Championships after hosting the women's last week.
That's right.
Missouri State volleyball had a big win on Saturday over Illinois State at Hammond Student Center. They defeated them 3-1, and with the victory, the Bears now 5-10 in the Valley, joining Belmont and Evansville in a 3-way tie for the final spot in the conference tournament with 3 matches to play. So got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. Illinois State dropped to 13-15 and 8-7 in league matches. Bears will close out the regular season with 3 more at home, beginning with league-leading Northern Iowa at 6 o'clock Friday at Hammond Student Center.
And that's not going to help you make up any ground there. Northern Iowa has been unbeatable this season, but all Coach Mack and the women's volleyball team can ask for is for these games to be meaningful here down the final stretch. They get to play all of them at home to have a chance to get into the field for postseason play in the Missouri Valley Conference. So best of luck to them as that starts this week. And Art, the Bears football team keeps rolling. Had the privilege of being on the road down in Murray, Kentucky, and the Missouri State offense may have had its high water mark of the season down against the Racers.
579 yards of total offense. They averaged 9.2 yards per play, and a career-high 431 passing yards from Jacob Clark, who will be one of our guests on the show today. He was the Missouri Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Week for the 4th time this year.
Yep, and in a crazy side note, too, it takes the Missouri State win streak to 8 games in a row. We're now having to go back to the Jimmy Carter administration to find the last time the Bears won 8 straight in a single season.
Well, 1963. That was the Orville Pottinger years, and LBJ was president, and JFK before his assassination. But in 1988-89, the Bears won 9 in a row, but that was over a 2-year
Over 2 seasons, yeah. But and on top of all of those superlatives, Missouri State and Ryan Beard get to print their name next to the 500th win in the program's history. So I think that special number is coming in the middle of a very special season when you look at what this team has done. Hunter Wood was a standout, tied a career high with 10 receptions, did set a new career high with 108 yards receiving. Jamari Robinson was a big target, and Jacardier Wright, Art, continues to crank out highlights for a second straight game. He basically hurdled a defensive back on his way to the end zone.
Yeah, indeed. Another big game also for Jacardier is
74 yards rushing, 92 yards receiving. So
and Jaden Beck's second straight 100-yard rushing game.
Yeah, I it was funny traveling back with Rick Kindhart and Megan Fisher from the athletics communications staff. And, these are the people, along with the coaches, that try to put forward players to be honored by the conference, and it's like, who do you pick? I mean, you could have picked Jacob, you could have picked Jacardier, you could have picked Jab. I mean, any of those guys had monster weeks, but Jacob got the honors for the 4th time this season, and it'll be fun later in the show to talk to him about that.
Yeah. Jaden Beck's over 100 yards rushing. He also had a 95-yard kickoff return.
Yeah, first time the Bears have had one of those since Montre Braswell back in 2022 at the apex of the first couple of years under Bobby Petrino. So that was fun to see. There was a lot of people that gave me grief over what I said after that when I said I did not have that on my bingo card. So apparently that dated me a little bit by making a bingo reference. I don't know.
Well, maybe. My mom was a bingo ace at the assisted living center where she used to live.
Sure.
Some people take that very seriously. So now this week, the Bears are at North Dakota State, the number 1 ranked team in the country. 8 FCS national titles, 8 Division II titles before that. They are a football machine. It's a great atmosphere. ESPN Game Day has been there twice in recent years. It'll be quite a challenge, but be very interesting to see how the Bears compete.
Yeah, it is the quintessential hostile environment. But, Ryan Beard mentioned it on Monday during his press availability, Art, that as scary a place to play as the Fargo Dome is, that game at Montana was an awful lot like it. The difference is it was open air, and obviously a dome can make the acoustics a little bit different, but that was a game against the number 3 team in the country at that point in time of the season. This week, the Bears will go in as the number 14 team in the American Football Coaches Association poll. They move up one spot this week to take on the number 1 team, and it is quite literally for all of the marbles because the Bears and the Bison are the only 2 undefeated teams remaining in conference play in the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
So whoever wins that game is assured of at least a co-championship and a trophy and a banner. So a big one for the Bears, a great opportunity. That'll be this Saturday in Fargo at 2:30.
Yep, we talked about Jacob Clark taking home the Valley Offensive Player of the Week honors. How about we shift gears and move? It's basketball season now too, Art. The crazy crossover season has begun.
And the Lady Bears with a thrilling 2-point win over Tulsa on Sunday afternoon, 63-61.
Yeah, it was a great matchup. Tulsa now 1-1 on the season after losing to the Lady Bears here inside Great Southern Bank Arena. Paige Rocca came up big at the free throw line. At one point in time, she was 9 of 9 at the free throw line, and the Lady Bears really won this game with their rebounding and at the free throw line. They lost their top player in Lacey Stokes. Lacey fouled out late in the game, and it was the senior Paige Rocca who really stepped up, made some big free throws down the stretch. But Art, if you had any questions about after Missouri State had seen 3 post players leave and enter the transfer portal about whether or not they were going to be able to play in the post, Sarah Linthicum comes in, transfers from Mizzou in her first game as a Lady Bear, has a double-double. And Lainey Douglas, the true freshman, if she had gotten a couple of more minutes of playing time, she would have had a double-double too, because I think she was right around 8 points and 9 rebounds in that game. So I would say the post questions were answered pretty quickly.
There was an intentional foul called on Tulsa with 58 seconds to go, and Paige Rocca stepped up and made the free throws. And the game was tied 5 times in the fourth quarter, but the Lady Bears prevail 63-61. They will have a midweek matchup Wednesday at Wichita State, an old rival when they were in the Valley. That is at 6 o'clock Wednesday in Wichita.
How would you like to go back out to the Roundhouse one more time?
I'd love to. I would love to. There are some memories there, most of them very bad.
Yeah, not very good memories in that building, because they were never very friendly when the Bears would come to town. So
that is the most hostile environment I think I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's saying something in the amount of mileage you've got.
It was that way consistently. So Wichita State, I guess credit to them for that. Now, men's basketball opened the season with a loss at Butler. Very competitive loss, 72-65, and then on Monday night they defeated Missouri Southern 90-61 in the home opener here at Great Southern Bank Arena. Bears are now 40-3 all time as a Division I school in home openers.
Conzo Martin is a perfect 4-0 in home openers in his 2 different stints as Missouri State's men's basketball head coach. And the Bears were led by Vincent Brady, who dropped 21 points on Missouri Southern. And always kind of a confusing night. Now, this is against a Division II opponent in a game that counts for the Bears but didn't count for Missouri Southern. It gets to be an exhibition game for them, but it didn't mean that their players didn't come to play. I mean, you were on the mic for this one, Art. Former Springfield Central Bulldog Tyreek Brooks, I think, came to deliver a message to every basketball recruiter in Springfield that y'all let me leave home and I'm going to get your attention. And he got some people's attention last night for Southern.
Yeah, 21 points. And I made the comment late in the game on the air, you know, he might follow the path of Lacey Stokes from Missouri Southern back over here. I think we'd love to have him. That's not tampering, I don't think.
I don't think it is if we do it.
No, that's right. That's right. So some of the other standouts last night, Zaxton King, the freshman from Lawrence, Kansas, had 14 points. Chase Martin had 12 after 11 in the Butler game. Very solid off the bench both times.
No, he is instant offense off the bench. He can get to the rack and score. He likes to shoot the 3. He is a scorer at all 3 levels, and you would expect nothing less from the son of the head coach.
Bears forced 18 turnovers in the game, 14 from steals. and held Missouri Southern to 34% shooting on the night. Bears have their next two games at home, Saturday afternoon at 1 against Tulsa and next Tuesday night against Texas Arlington.
It'll be really nice to get Tulsa in here. I know Coach Keltner thinks that ORU-Tulsa rotation is important to have those regional rivalries here with Missouri State, and it should be a good matchup and a much better barometer for Coach Martin and the Bears to know where they are at this early point in the season.
Yeah, ORU is still a yearly home and home. Tulsa, the Bears haven't played in a number of years, but yeah, that would be good to get them back on the schedule.
All right.
So a lot going on at Missouri State. We will talk on the show with the men's soccer coach Michael Seabolt, women's soccer coach Kirk Nelson, and Bears quarterback Jacob Clark. Our visit with Coach Seabolt is coming up next on MoState Update. Welcome back to MoState Update. Our first guest on this edition of the show is men's soccer coach Michael Seabolt. His team is hosting the Missouri Valley Conference semifinals and finals this week at Betty and Bobby Allison South. So, Kirk, 12 wins 3 years in a row since you have been coach. You won 13 way back in a previous life at West Virginia, but that's a pretty good winning average.
Yeah, no, Art, we're super proud of the series of success we've had the last few years and even before that, but we're not thinking about that too much. We're just thinking about Evansville on Wednesday and how we can continue to advance in this Missouri Valley tournament.
Well, and over the last 6 years, speaking of your time and Coach Leamy's time, the Bears have the best winning percentage in the country in Division I soccer. Yeah,
it's been a team effort by the university, by the staff, by administration, and certainly the players, most importantly the players. And just that consistency and that high-level excellence is awesome, and it's a big part of how we're growing this program and continue to move it forward.
Your team picked up a couple of end-of-the-year specialty awards from the conference.
Well, you know what's interesting, Art? I've been so busy we're thinking about tomorrow and just focusing on what we need to do. I've not even looked. I didn't even know what awards we got and didn't get. But so if you have some of those and want to share them, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, Jesus
you won about all of them.
Jesus Barea is Player of the Year in the conference for the second time in his career.
He's very deserving, and we think he's one of the best players in the country, and we hope he's a heck of a candidate for the Herman Trophy for the actual top player in the country. So he's certainly deserving.
And then Tyler Caton was the co-midfielder of the year in the conference.
Who was it? Did it say who he's co-midfielder with?
With
the kid from Drake.
Esquil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Esquil.
Yeah. Well,
from Drake.
Congrats to both of them. Esquil's a good player. He actually didn't play against us the other day because he was out with a red card suspension. But Tyler's awesome and such a talent. He sets the tone for us in midfield and is such a big part of the way we play. And congrats to Tyler. That's fantastic.
Those two, Barea and Caton, are joined by Alex Matthews on the All-Valley first team.
Well, Alex has stepped in as a captain for us second half of the season, and he's a tremendous leader in the back and is just such a versatile player. And, just another guy that's deserving. But with our guys winning the league and regular season, all of them are deserving, and it's about a team result, a team outcome, and I know those guys would feel the same.
Second teamers were James Jennings, Famia
Shiraishi.
Okay, and the goalkeeper Will Lowry. They all made second team, so congratulations to all of them.
No, that's great. Will's leading the country in goals against average, so certainly he's deserving, and hopefully I know he'll continue that success. And then Fumi and James have come up with great goals in Valley play, and they'll continue to do it. So great players.
So now a conference tournament this week, and you will be hosting Evansville in the semifinals.
Yeah, Evansville's a good team. They just came off a great result, beating Western Michigan on the road, and they've had some good results throughout the season. Went to Indiana and tied Indiana, and they're a really good team. But the Valley is so strong this year. It is just such a top league, and we believe it's a 3 or 4 bid league for the NCAA tournament. And but certainly congrats to Evansville on being here, and we look forward to competing against them tomorrow.
So you should be in the NCAA tournament regardless, but obviously the goal is to win the Valley tournament and get a better seed.
Yeah. I mean, we certainly don't assume anything, but you'd like to think we're in a really good spot. But yeah, we want to just take care of business. We want to win this Valley championship one more time before we leave the league, and and then, like you said, set us up for a really top seed. We do believe we should be a seeded team in the NCAA tournament no matter what, but let's go for the top, and let's be one of the top 2 or 3 seeds.
Yeah,
Obviously,
you're the 11th ranked team in the country, so that should be worthy of a home game in the first round.
Oh yeah. We should get a home game, and it's just a question of do you get that bye, do you get that seed, and in the most recent RPI, I think we're 7, so we're just focused, like I said, win Wednesday and win this tournament one more time, and then can we be one of the top 3 or 4 seeds in the country?
Coach, do you feel that winning the tournament is part of kind of the requirement to get one of those seeds? Do you think that if you were to have problems in the tournament, you would still, the body of work that you've put together, the national rankings, the RPI, that all that would be enough to keep you at home and hosting as a seeded team?
Well, I think there's 2 things. I think to get a Thursday game, the first round, I think we're in a tremendous position. But yeah, I think even if we take a setback, we should be a seeded team. I mean, so many of the other teams around us have had losses and things recently that I wouldn't see why that would knock us out of getting the bye and playing on Sunday. But again, you don't know until you know, and we don't even want to be thinking about it. If we take care of business, it won't even be a question.
How did the boys do against Evansville during the regular season?
Well, we won 6-1, but it was a tough game. Actually, they scored first, and we went down by a goal, obviously, and then we responded really, really well and got a goal before halftime, and then got some goals in the second half and finished strong.
I think I remember that one. That was at home.
Yeah.
Because I came over, I was doing basketball or something, and it was 1-1 at the half, and I couldn't believe that Evansville was here playing you guys that competitively, and then you string together 6 unanswered goals. That was quite a response.
Yeah, it was a good response, but again, we can't look at that as what it's going to be tomorrow night, as I mentioned earlier. Evansville's a really good team, and they've had some tremendous results against top teams. Hopefully on that night we showed why we are a very top team, and we should be, like we're talking about, a top seed in the NCAAs, because Evansville's a very good team, and take nothing away from them.
Well, what would you say are some of the reasons for the Bears' consistent success here over the last 6+ years, really going back even farther? I mean, here's a school in the Midwest, and you really have competed at a national level extremely well.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is we are Missouri State, and there's such a great brand to sell, and the Midwest is awesome. This is one of the best places in the world to live, and it's an awesome city in Springfield and a great university at Missouri State. And maybe the small thing would be that administration, and then certainly the coaching staff and myself, we don't take a second fiddle to anybody. We don't look up at anybody, and we expect that we can be the very best and recruit the best and retain the best student athletes, and we've been doing that, and that's the key. So, you know, we don't look at the name on the jersey. We think about what we can do and who we are, and this is an unbelievable university and an unbelievable place to play soccer.
So don't worry about who you're having to play. They're having to play you.
That's it. And we've proven that time and time again, and that is a key point. I mean, we're talking about the national RPI being 7th in the country, and that's not a first-time thing. We've been 11, we've been 7. I mean, over the years, we've been 13, we've been 15. You know, the team above us, I think, the team below us, I think, is Duke, and I think the team above us is maybe, actually, I can't remember who's just above us. But the point is, you know, we are a big name, and we are one of the powers in college soccer.
What is changing conferences, not to look past the Valley tournament here, but you and I and Patrick Ransdell, the athletic department's new AD, had a conversation about moving to the American Athletic Conference, and this is something that is only going to be maybe another layer to that resume of what makes Missouri State and men's soccer here so special, because you're going to play against some elite level talent as a part of your regular season. Now, it used to be these were games you had to go out and chase and schedule in the non-conference. Now this is going to be week in and week out. Well,
I think a good way to explain it is I know the league did a little bit of a research on us right before they invited us, and one of my former assistant coaches when I was at West Virginia is the head coach at Temple, and we had a good conversation before we joined the league, and he said when they looked at us and they were losing SMU, right? The SMU was leaving, and SMU was another top program. The data over this last 6 years, we were ahead of SMU in terms of win percentages we've talked about, in terms of RPI and the things that you need to have a strong league. So we think we're bringing a lot to that league. And then, as you mentioned, it's a tremendous league with some cool trips and some cool opponents and other name brand schools like Missouri State. other large state universities. So we feel like we're in a place that we really fit, and they're going to make us better, and we're going to make them better.
During the years that Dallas Baptist was in the Valley for baseball, they elevated the conference and probably responsible for additional bids by their good play. So I'm sure they're hoping that Missouri State will elevate the American in that way.
Yeah, and it's a team effort. I mean, all the teams need to do well to make that happen, and obviously Missouri State baseball did well when Dallas Baptist was here. So
right.
it's a team effort, but yes, that's what we're looking to do, and that's what the Valley is this year. We're doing well, but so is Western Michigan, so is Evansville, so is Bowling Green, so is Drake. So these are good teams, and that's why our league's strong in the Valley, and certainly we're going to make the American really strong next year.
Coach, congratulations on a tremendous season, and good luck in the tournament and the NCAA.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Go Bears.
Coach Michael Seabolt. When we come back, we'll talk women's soccer with Coach Kirk Nelson. That's next on MoState Update. Welcome back to MoState Update. Our next guest is Missouri State women's soccer coach Kirk Nelson, whose team is regular season and tournament champions in the Missouri Valley Conference and headed to NCAA play later this week. Kirk, congratulations on a great season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both having me on, and we're super excited to continue the season.
You pretty well, and this is when you're champions of everything, swept the postseason awards in the conference.
Yes, that was an amazing feat, and those student athletes are worthy of those accolades, and I'm proud of the team and everything that we've done, and it's just a great opportunity for us to, like I said, keep it going, and we have an incredible senior group and some fifth years, and it's excited to extend the season for everyone involved.
If you would, run us through those award winners.
Yes, so let me see if I can get all of them. So we had goalkeeper of the year, so that was Camille Day. And then we had defender of the year, Jenna Anderson. Then we had freshman of the year, Jane Hansen. And then we had player of the year was Julia Christensen, and then coaching staff of the year.
And well-deserved on that end as well. So now you go to Iowa for your first-round NCAA game. I know the last time you played them to a tie. How does this look?
I think it's going to be a great game. We've obviously started watching video and things like that, and they have a really good style of play, and I think we're similar to that. So I think those two pieces will match up very well, and I think it's going to be a battle in regards to that. So we haven't played them since I've been here, so I think it's neat for the student athletes and all of us in the program to be able to play someone new, so that makes it even more exciting, and you don't know what to expect, and it's the same thing for them on that end. And so we're fired up to get up there and try to get that win.
Now, Coach, there's some irony in this too, though, isn't there? Did you guys just put them on the schedule for next season?
Yeah. So last week I was communicating with their assistant coach because we know each other and the staff and everything like that, and just haven't had the opportunity to play. And obviously that's within a drive for us, and so we discussed back and forth about getting each other on the schedule starting next year. And so they're actually coming to us next year, so we schedule that, and then we'll go to them in 26. So we're just starting that relationship a little bit earlier.
Any common opponents with Iowa?
Not really. There's some schools that we've played that have kind of played, so a little bit of soccer math there. But to my knowledge, we haven't really crossed paths in regards to them playing in the Big Ten and some of those opponents that they've seen. We had a couple Big 12 and SEC and that kind of stuff in our conference schedule, but doesn't look like any of them were the same.
Well, and you say you've never been to Iowa City.
Correct. So it's interesting because my wife is originally from Iowa. She grew up in Storm Lake, and so she has a ton of relatives that are all either Hawkeyes or Cyclones fans. So there's a lot of talk going around in the family circle right now. So all the Cyclone fans are obviously cheering for us, and so that's exciting. And my wife's trying to figure out a way to get up to the game and stuff like that to see the game, but also see family. And that was one of the big reasons that when Coach Rob Brewer offered me the position here in 2014. I had never lived in the Midwest, but my wife and her family were from here, and her parents owned a KOA campground in Nebraska and things like that. So obviously jumped at the opportunity, and we're excited about that. And I'm excited to go up there and check out the campus and the facilities and, like I said, get a win on Friday.
I know this will be a great experience for you and your team. Did the seeding at the watch party kind of go the way you thought it might? I mean, obviously the NCAA tournament in the sport of soccer, in women's soccer specifically, tries to keep things regional in those first few rounds, not make everybody have to make 2-3 time zone jumps and plane trips. They try to keep it to bus trips. So was Iowa where you thought you all would land, or did you think maybe you might be even closer to home than that?
Okay, I have to go on credit. I called it. So everybody now, to everybody else's credit, and I was, part of that as well, as our initial thought, the top three were Arkansas was a prime candidate, which we went to 2 years ago, and they're only 2+ hours away. KU and SLU were the other ones, and they end up playing each other. They'll be playing each other in the first round. And then we were talking about others in the region once they put out a map with they kind of had pins on it with the seeding and different ones. And I'm like, I bet you we're going to get Iowa. And when that popped up, as they announced Iowa, I said, Corey and Sarah were sitting right next to me. I said, Missouri State, and they said it right at that point. And so I clapped out loud. I thought it's exciting to be able to try a different opponent and be able to have a different experience. And what I learned in this process in the last 24 hours is that the NCAA has a rule on 400 miles or more. It's typically flighted.
Yeah.
And we're at 382 miles.
Of course you are.
But I mean, I think it's good to settle on the bus and just kind of relax and get ourselves over there tomorrow. We'll leave tomorrow to get up there and get settled in, and so we're excited about that.
Of the other announcements that were made of that entire bracket, I noticed the girls probably popped at least one or two other times. What were maybe the biggest surprises, or at least the ones that your players seemed to get the big kick out of yesterday?
Yes, definitely. First off was 80s, who's from Iceland. Her sister plays for Boston, and so they got a draw with Texas. So that was the first kind of that was one of the early draws. The other one is what I just mentioned, is KU versus SLU. That's a big one to start off the first round. And then Arkansas, Oklahoma State. So two really high-seeded teams playing against each other in the first round. So that's going to be a tough one for both of them. So those were a bit of, just kind of sent some shudders through the crowd in regards to that. So, like I said, I think I'm fired up with where we're going, and it looks like the weather is going to be decent, just a bit cold. So we're prepared for that, and we have a couple Iowa-based student athletes on our team, so they're familiar with that area, things like that, and we'll have a lot of parent support up there as well.
You mentioned about your wife being from Iowa. You might remind us again about your background before you came here.
Sure. I grew up in Maryland. My dad went to the Naval Academy, and I actually graduated from the University of Maryland and then decided to move to Arizona, Phoenix area. I had an uncle there just after college to try to start my life and see what my career is going to take me, and ended up going back to school and getting a degree as a math teacher. So I was an honors geometry math teacher for 12 years. I joke soccer's all about angles, and it is, so it's very applicable.
Yep.
And the team makes fun of me when I do math references out on the field, but they know that I'm right.
That would be good for miniature golf, too.
Yes, it would.
I was told there would be no math, so
Yeah,
that's a problem for me.
So, and then I met my wife, Michelle, there. So she was at Arizona State, and we had our two kids, Brock, who's a senior here at Missouri State. He'll graduate this coming May. And my daughter, Bryn, she just is committing to stunt. So we just announced that. Signing day is tomorrow, so she's super fired up for that. So she'll also be here at Missouri State and graduating from high school next May. So we got a lot going on in May. And then I got the opportunity at University of Nevada as an assistant for 4 years in the Lake Tahoe area. And then we looked at where we wanted to move our family and our kids and things like that. And when the assistant position opened up here with Coach Rob, I obviously applied, and it brought us closer to, kind of Michelle's roots and all that kind of stuff. So we've been kind of all over the country in a good way. And I appreciate my family in that regards too, because they've moved a few times to support this goal. And it's my son and I joke about it. He's like, Dad, listen, I love that you chased your goal and did all this, but he's in finance and banking and loan officer, and he's like, I'm just going to make a ton of money. So I'm proud of you, but I'm just going to make a ton of money. I'm like, you go for it, son. I'm all in.
I feel the same way. My son's majoring in cybersecurity right now, and I'm like, just make as much money as you can and do what you want. That's great. Yeah. Coach, obviously, this wasn't out of the blue, the success that you've had this season. This was a very good team a year ago. So coming off of last season's success and the run that you had in the Valley, what was this a team goal when you sit down with the ladies and you look at the season as a whole? Was at the top of the list was NCAA tournament or bust? What kind of was the team outlook coming into this run?
Yeah, it has been a 2+ year process building to this point. Obviously, the first year we had a lot of success and got into the NCAAs, and that kind of set the foundation. And I think you all have heard me before. It was one of those things we got there and we were just happy to be there, be part of the experience. And but now I think the mentality has changed. So last year our record was even better. We were number 1 in the country in goals against average and shutout percentage. We were ahead of Florida State, who was the national champion. So we accomplished a lot and unfortunately fell short. That's why you play in the tournament. And we lost in that double overtime game to Valpo, and they went on and got a chance to play in the NCAAs. So coming back from that foundation in this spring and building off of that and cleaning up some stuff in regards to on-field and then continue to build our culture off the field was a huge priority for us. And teams were bunkering on us last year, so we worked on breaking that down, all those kinds of things, and it's paid off. And then this non-conference schedule, as you all know, we were 2-4-2 in the non-conference schedule, and that was by design to give us the strongest schedule possible, arguably the strongest ever, that in the history of this program. And it was tough, and there were tough moments, and the coaching staff had to keep telling the players to believe, and they bought in. We got beat up a few times, but it paid off. And when we got to conference, things started to click, and our focus was, you can see some hashtags. We have a couple of them, but hashtag MTT, that was make the tournament. That's what was on it all season long, and that's our conference tournament. And then it changed to home field advantage, HFA. So we were looking at getting home field advantage in the higher seed. And then now it was MTD, make the dance. And so that was the next one. And so now it's M32, and that's the round of 32. Let's make the round of 32. So we're taking it one step at a time, one game at a time, and that's the focus. So that they're all locked in for Friday night.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a great season, and good luck. Go get them at Iowa on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. Go Bears.
That's Coach Kirk Nelson. When we come back, we will visit with Missouri State football quarterback Jacob Clark as MoState Update continues. Welcome back to MoState Update. Our next guest is Missouri State quarterback Jacob Clark. Again this week, the Missouri Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Week for the 4th time this year, leading the Bears on what is now an 8-game winning streak. Jacob, congratulations on all the success you and the team have been having.
Thank you.
What do you see how the team has come together here during this last 8 games?
Yeah, I think it goes all the way back to those first couple games when we started at Montana and then played against Ball State. We were in some close games where we felt like we played decent football but just didn't find a way to win. And then that first home game we had against Lindenwood, we were able to get a win and kind of figure out what it took to win football games, and then had that battle against UT Martin, who's ended up being a really good football team also, and found a way to win on the road there. And then it kind of just was a snowball effect of we're a good football team and we're figuring out what it takes to win games. A lot of veteran leadership has stepped up, and then some guys have gone down and other people have stepped up and been really good contributors so far this year.
Jacob is over 4,000 career passing yards right now. And, of course, your passing success, a tremendous completion percentage, but the running game has really come on, and that's helped everything.
Oh, yeah. When you can establish the run, you're able to, it makes it easier on me, able to do play-action pass, able to kind of load the box more and get some different looks to be able to get the ball downfield. Obviously, we have Jacardier, who's been really good player the last 3 years, probably one of the best athletes and running backs in all of FCS. And then Jab, Jaden Bex has stepped up these last 4 weeks, just getting the ball in his hands. He makes plays. Last week you guys saw on kickoff, he took one to the house too.
Jacob, Jab, and Cartier are special running backs, there's no doubt, but a big part of them having success comes from the same offensive line that protects you on pass plays, has to open up holes for them to run through. Kind of talk about where that offensive line started for you week 1, week 2, and where they've gotten to now. Yeah,
they got pretty banged up in those first couple of weeks of the year, and then Vio and Big E were able to work back in, I think, around weeks 4, 5, and 6. And then just them getting more comfortable being back out there. Obviously, Cash went down a couple weeks ago, so we kind of had another shift in the line. But I think everyone's just getting more confidence playing together. There's kind of 7 guys that rotate in throughout the game, depending on who's healthy and how the game's going. But I think they just all have more confidence playing together and understand their roles.
I don't know that there could be a more confident position group right now than your wide receivers. A different guy gets to play the role of hero, it seems like, every week, whether it's Lance Mason, your tight end, whether it's any of a number of wide receivers. Obviously, Hunter Wood gets a lot of attention. Jamarie Robinson gets a lot of attention, but now all of a sudden Dash Luke, James Blackstrain have been significant contributors to the way the offense has succeeded over the last couple of weeks to string together this 8-game win streak. So what are those guys like, and what do you like about working with that group?
Yeah, I think they have a really good attitude, just preparing throughout the week of practice. I think, as you said, they know any 1, 2, or 3 of them in a given game is going to get a lot of touches and a lot of yards, and we honestly don't know who it's going to be going into the game. It just kind of plays out that way, and they're all ready to go. Keys had some really explosive games this year, some long touchdowns, and then obviously Hunter's very reliable, gets open, catches the ball every time I throw it to him. J-Rob's really good at creating space, and then when he gets the ball in his hands, he gets a lot of yards after catch. James has been doing a great job on the outside, just getting open and creating separation in one-on-ones and third down matchups, and then Dash can fly down the field and get open. You guys saw last week on a 4th and 2, I trusted him down the field, which I probably could have done a couple times earlier in the year too.
So we mentioned Hunter. He's really your Travis Kelce, I guess. He's a guy that you can always go to. You seem to be on the right page that he's going to get open and you're going to find him.
Yeah, he does a great job. He just understands football really well. You're not gonna be wowed by his speed or anything, but he understands the game. He understands leverage. He understands what he needs to do to get open. He does a great job seeing what the coverage is and knowing the ball's probably coming to him in certain looks. And then, there was a couple of catches last week. I just put it in his area, and he's going to go get it for me. I
was going to actually ask you about that, Jacob, because especially I thought on the road at Murray last week, I don't stat it, I don't keep track of it. I think he laid out and came up with at least 3 passes he makes up for with his effort when you might not be perfect. And that's got to mean a lot to the guy on the other end of the ball.
Right, especially with that weather is wet. Turf was pretty wet. Just being able to go get the ball when it's a little bit wet and diving out for it on third downs. I did mess with him a little bit because after the game I was like, dude, sorry I didn't keep you up at all. But there was maybe 1 or 2 of those he could have ran through if it was, sunny and the ball wasn't wet. But he's been doing a great job, and obviously me and him are super close, so it's been a fun year.
So, Jacob, how seriously do you take your leadership role? This is kind of a veteran team, but you are a third-year player on it. You are a veteran. You're the quarterback. How do you see that role for you?
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in, feel privileged to be able to be a captain of this football team. When they voted me to be a captain, it meant a lot going into this year, and just being able to lead in my own way. I'm not going to, rah-rah and be super loud, but I'm going to, pull guys to the side and talk to them, have conversations with them. And, there's guys on this team this year that when the season started, I don't think they would have looked at themselves as leaders. But as the season's gone on and, I've talked to them like, hey, you're a leader on this football team, and it's been great to see some of those guys like Jab and J-Rob be able to step up and take some of those roles on this year.
Seems like you're very confident that you're going to get the sixth year, come back next year. That would be a medical red shirt for having only played 4 games last year.
Right. Yeah, that waiver is still in process. I'm not really sure where it's at. I think it's on the desk somewhere in NCAA land, but hoping that does go through, and we're pretty sure it should.
I don't really know that those things even get looked at until you get to the end of the season anyway,
Right.
So it's probably a conversation that we'll definitely be having quite a bit in the off season. Talk about what you're getting ready for now. I mean, this is Coach Beard and I have thrown around the term Super Bowl. I mean, this is everything you guys have been playing for, and the type of game that young football players, when they're throwing the ball around in the backyard, are dreaming about having a game-winning drive to win and lift a trophy, to get a championship ring. That is all out there for you all this weekend as you get ready to go to Fargo. It just so happens to be against the number 1 team in the country, and a team that I think Coach Beard on Monday said has a bigger trophy case than just about anybody in FCS football. So what's preparation been like, and are there any more nerves this week than there have been in the previous weeks?
Yeah, it's really exciting, the position we're in. It's something you kind of grow up and dream of, being able to put yourself in this spot to go win a conference championship and play against the number 1 team in the country at their place. It's going to be a really fun, hostile environment. They're obviously a really good team, and we're going to have to bring our best, but I like the guys we got, and I think we can go up there and get it done. As in preparation, I think we just continue doing the same things we've been doing all year, just understanding there needs to be a little bit more detail involved in all of it, because it's going to take a little bit more to go up there and beat them.
Well, and should be a good indicator, really, for next year, moving into Conference USA and FBS football. North Dakota State's probably as good as most teams there.
Yeah, for sure. They're, I would say, moving up, North Dakota State and South Dakota State, teams like that would go up there and compete for sure in those conferences. Probably the bottom of those FBS teams aren't going to be, I guess, as bad as bottom of the FCS, but it's a good indicator to see kind of where we're at going into next year for sure.
Jacob, the numbers you've put up this year, and I understand that football is a team game, but I want to talk about you for just a second. You've already broken the single-season touchdown record. You're one of just 8 quarterbacks to ever throw for over 4,000 yards in this school's history. The numbers, the records just keep falling every time you step on the field. Is there any of that this year that surprises you? Because I know you're the guy that's putting in the work. You're the guy that had to fight through the shoulder surgery, the rehab, the setbacks to get here. So I know you appreciate it. I know you understand the work that you put into it. But is there any part of it that maybe you look back at it for a second and go, I really can't believe I'm doing this?
I don't know if I'm surprised by it. Honestly, I haven't, thought about it too much. I think, stats and accolades and awards and all that stuff is something to kind of look at and reflect once the season's over with. Really, just week by week, I've been trying to do what it takes to go win football games. And if that's throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, awesome. If that's throwing for 100 yards and being 10 for 10 and we can run the heck out of the ball, that's perfect too.
I'll take it.
Jacob, congratulations on your success and good luck in these last 2 games. It's already a tremendous season for the Bears. It would really be special to win one of these.
Yep, for sure. Thank you.
You bet. That's Bears quarterback Jacob Clark. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. Back with you on MoState Update. Some big events upcoming in the next week. Men's soccer hosting the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament at Allison South. They will play Wednesday at 6 against Evansville in the semifinals. The championship game is at 6:30 Saturday night, both at Betty and Bobby Allison South.
Yep, it should be a great environment. I know it was for the women's tournament, and Coach Nelson, and hopefully all those same soccer fans will come out and help pack Betty and Bobby Allison South Stadium starting on Wednesday night. And I will look forward to trying to get back from another road football trip and hopefully get over there on Sunday to see what goes down in the championship.
Coach Mack's volleyball team home for a couple of matches this weekend inside Hammond Student Center. Friday night at 6, they host Northern Iowa, the league leader, and then Drake at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday.
And I tell you what, I don't know how you feel about this. I know how I feel about it. There's just something about that travel pair at Northern Iowa and Drake. It doesn't matter if it's volleyball. It doesn't matter if it's men's basketball, women's basketball. That is always a tough weekend, whether you go to Des Moines and then Cedar Falls, or if you've got them coming to your place. Regardless of the sport, it's never easy.
Busy Saturday on campus, possible soccer championship, volleyball, and Coach Martin's men's basketball team at home take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. 1 o'clock game here at Great Southern Bank Arena.
Yep. No, I think that's going to be a much better barometer for what Coach Martin has in the tank this season, and we'll get a really good idea of how good this team can be over the course of that game. And, the Bears are in a really good spot right now, Art, with the couple of 3 home games all in a row before they pack up and leave and go on their big MTE, their multi-team event down in the Cayman Islands.
They will also host Texas Arlington on Tuesday night at 7.
That's right.
Corey, we have a last-minute award to announce.
We do. We want to congratulate Missouri State women's soccer senior Grace O'Keefe, as she's been named this week's Murney Student Athlete of the Week. O'Keefe was named the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament MVP after leading the Bears to a 4th conference tournament title on Sunday night. The Bears defeated the Bulldogs of Drake. You remember Art mentioned earlier in the show 4-0. Grace scored 2 goals for the first brace of her collegiate career. And for those of you who are not soccer savvy, hat trick is 3 goals, a brace is 2 goals. So this was the first of her career. She has also received an Elite 18 award, which is presented to the student athlete on the winning team with the highest GPA. So congratulations to Grace O'Keefe. She is your Murney Student Athlete of the Week, and well-deserved, I would say.
And again, the Bears match at Iowa in the NCAA tournament, women's soccer, is Friday in Iowa City. So good luck to them, and congratulations on great seasons for these MSU teams in fall sports. Well, that'll do it for this week's MoState Update. Our thanks to coaches Michael Seabolt and Kirk Nelson, and quarterback Jacob Clark. And most of all, to you for joining us. We'll be back with another edition of MoState Update.
You've been listening to the MoState Update with Art Haynes and Corey Riggs. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Missouri State Sports Network.